I thought Amelia was the one. After 18 months together and 6 months of sharing an apartment, I had the ring tucked away in my sock drawer. I was planning to propose next month on our trip to Lake Tahoe. Then last night at dinner, while celebrating my promotion, she stepped away to take a call. As I brought her forgotten purse, I heard her tell her friend, "You are just a phase. I will settle down when I am done having fun." My heart stopped. I simply said, "Good to know." Before I continue this story, let me know where you are watching from, and hit that subscribe button if you have ever had someone treat your feelings like they were disposable. The first time I saw Amelia was at my college buddy Troy's wedding. She was a bridesmaid, tall with chestnut hair and a smile that lit up the reception hall. I was 27, established in my career as a software engineer, but still awkward at approaching women, especially ones as stunning as her. I spent half the night gathering courage before finally asking her to dance during a slow song. "I thought you would never ask," she said, her hazel eyes meeting mine. That night, we talked until the venue staff started stacking chairs around us. Amelia was 29, a marketing executive for a cosmetics company passionate about travel and photography. She laughed at my terrible jokes and seemed genuinely interested in my stories. When I walked her to her car, she programmed her number into my phone before I could even ask. Our first few months together were like something from a romantic movie. We explored hidden restaurants in the city, took weekend trips to the coast, and stayed up late, talking about everything from childhood memories to our dreams for the future. Amelia was sophisticated, confident, and made me feel like I had won the lottery. I have never connected with someone so quickly. I told my best friend Marcus over beers one night. "She seems great, man." "Just take it slow," he advised, though I barely registered his words of caution. By our 6-month anniversary, we were practically inseparable. Amelia suggested meeting our families, and both visits went surprisingly well. My parents later called to tell me how charming they found her. Her parents were welcoming but somewhat reserved. To her father, a successful surgeon, who asked probing questions about my 5-year plan, while her mother kept commenting on how Amelia usually goes for more outgoing types. After a year together, moving in felt like the natural next step. We found a 2-bedroom apartment downtown close to both our offices. The process of combining our lives, deciding whose furniture to keep, establishing routines, negotiating shared spaces, went more smoothly than I expected. I interpreted this as another sign we were meant to be together. Looking back, the red flags were there, but I was colorblind with infatuation. There was the way Amelia would light up when other men paid attention to her at parties, laughing too loudly at their jokes while I stood awkwardly nearby. Or how she would make subtle digs about my career, saying things like, "Software engineering is stable, I guess, but do not you ever want to do something more?" Impressive. Then there were the jokes at my expense when we were with her friends. "Cade is so adorably clueless about fashion," or "He thinks a fancy dinner means adding garlic bread to the pasta." Each comment delivered with a laugh but containing a sliver of genuine derision. Her friends constantly mentioned someone named Jackson, clearly an ex-boyfriend who cast a long shadow. Jackson took Amelia to Paris for her birthday, or Jackson's family has that yacht in the Hamptons. I tried not to let it bother me, telling myself that I was secure enough to handle these comparisons. Whenever I tried to discuss our future beyond vague terms, Amelia became evasive. "Why rush things when we are having such a good time now?" she would say, changing the subject to an upcoming trip or party. I convinced myself this was just her independent spirit, not a sign of her uncertainty about us. The night of my promotion dinner, I had been at the company for 3 years and was finally moving into senior management. It meant better pay, more responsibility, and the financial security I wanted before proposing. I made reservations at Emilio's, the upscale Italian place where we had our first date. I arrived early, checking my pocket for the 100th time to make sure the small velvet box was still there. I had not planned to propose that night. Lake Tahoe was the plan. But I wanted the ring with me like a good luck charm as I imagined our future. Amelia arrived 20 minutes late, looking stunning in a black dress, apologizing about a meeting that ran over. We ordered wine and appetizers, and I shared the details of my new position. She seemed happy for me, though she checked her phone several times during my explanation. "That is great, babe," she said, but her enthusiasm felt rehearsed compared to how excited she got about her coworker's promotion the month before. Midway through dinner, her phone rang. She glanced at the screen and her face lit up. "I need to take this," she said, standing quickly. "It is Stephanie." She just got back from her Bali trip. As Amelia walked toward the restaurant entrance, I realized she had left her purse on the chair. Knowing she would need it if she stepped outside, I grabbed it and followed her. That is when I heard the words that would change everything. "No, I am just at dinner with Cade," she was saying, her voice carrying in the quiet hallway by the restrooms. "He got promoted, so we are celebrating." A pause. "God, no, marriage is not on the table. You are just a phase. I will settle down when I am done having fun. Someone like Jackson eventually." I froze, her purse dangling from my fingertips. Time seemed to stop as her words echoed in my mind. When she turned and saw me standing there, her expression shifted rapidly from surprise to calculation. "Let me call you back," she said quickly into the phone. "You forgot your purse," I said, my voice surprisingly steady as I handed it to her. "Were you eavesdropping on me?" she asked, immediately offensive. "Good to know," was all I could manage to say, turning back toward our table. The remainder of dinner passed in a blur. I paid the bill while making small talk about trivial things, the ring in my pocket, now feeling like it weighed 1,000 pounds. The drive home was silent, Amelia attempting a few conversations that I could not bring myself to engage in. That night I told her I had a headache and slept on the couch, unable to lie next to her, without hearing those words repeating in my head. As dawn broke, I was still awake, beginning to question everything about our relationship, and wondering how I had missed so many signs. The week following the restaurant incident, as I began calling it in my mind, was a strange limbo. During the day, I tried to convince myself I had misheard or misunderstood Amelia's words. Maybe she was joking with her friend. Maybe phase meant something different in their private language. The human mind is remarkably creative when protecting itself from pain. But in quiet moments, I knew exactly what I had heard. The clarity of her statement left no room for interpretation. I was temporary, a placeholder, not someone she saw a future with. With this painful awareness, I began noticing things about our relationship that my love-blinded eyes had previously missed. The way Amelia never included me in her long-term plans. How she kept certain friends separate from our shared social circle. Her dismissive reactions to my accomplishments compared to her enthusiasm for others. After 3 days of internal turmoil, I decided to check Amelia's phone while she showered, something I had never done before, and felt ashamed about even as I did it. What I found was worse than I imagined: text messages with her friends discussing my adorable but misguided career ambitions and mocking my clothes, my friends, even my family. Kate is sweet, but can you imagine being with someone so basic? Forever. She had written to her friend Tanya, just 2 days after I had surprised her, with concert tickets for her favorite band. That evening, I attempted to have an honest conversation about what I had overheard. "Amelia, we need to talk about what you said on the phone at the restaurant," I said, as we finished dinner at home. She looked up from her plate, face blank. "What are you talking about?" "I heard what you said to Stephanie, about me being a phase until you are done having fun." Her expression shifted from confusion to denial. "I never said that. You must have misheard." When I recited her words verbatim, her strategy changed. "Oh, that was just girl talk, Cade. You know how friends exaggerate with each other. It did not mean anything." "It meant something to me," I said quietly. Her eyes narrowed slightly. "You are being too sensitive. And honestly, I am concerned that you were eavesdropping on my private conversation. That shows a real lack of trust." Somehow, by the end of that conversation, I was the one apologizing for invading her privacy, for making assumptions, for being insecure. It was a masterclass in gaslighting that left me feeling crazy for being hurt in the first place. Over the next few weeks, I retreated emotionally, throwing myself into my new position at work. The longer hours were both an escape and a shield. Less time at home meant fewer opportunities for conflict or further heartbreak. Amelia noticed the distance and responded with increasing criticism. "You are never home anymore," she complained, though when I was home she spent most of her time on her phone. "We never do anything fun these days," she said, though she had declined my last 3 suggestions for date nights. One evening while Amelia was at a work networking event, I used our shared laptop to check movie times. Her Facebook page was still logged in, and a message notification popped up. The name caught my eye immediately, Jackson Mills. The man her friends constantly compared me to. I should have closed the browser. Instead, I clicked. Their conversation history went back 3 months, friendly at first, then increasingly flirtatious. They had met for coffee twice to catch up. In their most recent exchanges, Jackson mentioned how much he missed her, and Amelia responded that timing had never been right for them, but who knows what the future holds. 2 days later, I overheard Amelia on the phone with her mother, unaware I had come home early. "Mom, he is fine, but I am not sure if he is right for me long term," she was saying. "He does not challenge me, you know, and his family is so ordinary. I am turning 30 next year. I need to think about my future seriously." The final piece fell into place when I found a notebook of Amelia's while looking for a phone charger in her desk drawer. A list titled Husband Material Checklist detailed her requirements: ambitious career, preferably law, medicine, or finance, socially connected, family, summer home, potential private school background, sophisticated tastes. Not a single item on that list described me or anything I could ever become. When I confided these discoveries to my best friend Marcus over drinks, his lack of surprise was its own revelation. "Honestly, man, I never thought she was right for you," Marcus admitted, looking guilty. "She always seemed like she was. I do not know. Slumming it a bit. Like you were good enough for now, but not her endgame. Why did not you say something?" I asked, hurt by both the assessment and his silence. We tried subtly. "Remember when Dave asked if you were sure about moving in together so quickly? Or when Jess mentioned that Amelia seemed dismissive of your job? You were so happy you could not see it. And we did not want to be the jerks who tried to ruin a good thing for you. Was it ever really a good thing?" I wondered aloud. "Parts of it were," Marcus said kindly. "But Cademan, you deserve someone who sees how incredible you are, not someone who is with you despite what they consider flaws." Despite everything, some part of me still wanted to salvage the relationship. The heart does not release its attachments easily, even when the mind sees the truth. But the universe had one final revelation in store. Amelia came home late from a claimed team-building dinner that Friday, her breath smelling of wine and wearing perfume she had not applied that morning. When I casually asked how the event went, she became defensive. "Are you interrogating me now? Is this because I am an hour late? Some of us have demanding careers and important connections to maintain." The condescension in her tone ignited something in me. Is Jackson part of these important connections? Her face paled momentarily before flushing with anger. "You went through my messages. How dare you? You are not denying it," I observed quietly. "Fine. Yes, I had drinks with Jackson. He understands my ambitions. He sees my potential. Maybe I would not need to look elsewhere if you were enough." There it was, the truth I had been circling for weeks. "So I am not enough," I repeated, a strange calm, replacing the hurt. Amelia seemed to realize she had gone too far, but rather than retreat, she doubled down. "You are sweet, Cade. You are stable. But you were never my forever person. I think deep down you have always known that." Her words should have devastated me. Instead, they were almost a relief, confirmation that I was not crazy, that my suspicions were valid, that the relationship I thought I had was indeed an illusion. That night, after Amelia slammed out of the apartment to stay with Stephanie, I sat alone in our darkened living room, turning the engagement ring over in my fingers. The diamond caught what little light filtered through the blinds, winking at me like it was in on some cosmic joke. 18 months of my life. Countless I love yous, a shared home, intertwined friends and family, all of it built on a foundation of sand. For hours I sat there replaying moments of our relationship through this new lens of awareness. Each memory shifted shape, revealing hidden meanings and subtext I had been blind to. The comments about my potential for growth were not encouragement, but dissatisfaction. The way she introduced me as my boyfriend Cade, rather than just Cade, suddenly felt like a temporary label, not a proud claim. My first instinct was pathetic, but human. How could I change to be enough for her? Maybe if I switched to a more prestigious career track, if I adopted more sophisticated tastes, If I somehow became the kind of man who belonged on her husband material list, around 3 in the morning, staring at a photo of us from happier times, something shifted inside me. A question surfaced that changed everything. Why was I so desperate to be enough for someone who had never once worried about being enough for me? I had loved Amelia fully, with all her flaws and sharp edges. I had never created a checklist of qualities she needed to fulfill. I had never compared her to exes or kept her as a placeholder until someone better came along. The realization was like coming up for air after nearly drowning. I deserved the same kind of love I gave, wholehearted, accepting, genuine. I thought about my parents married 35 years and still looking at each other with warmth and respect. They had disagreements and difficulties like any couple, but there was never a question of being phases to each other. They were partners, each other's first choice every day. Digging through my closet, I found an old journal from before I met Amelia. Reading my hopes and dreams from 2 years ago was like meeting a more authentic version of myself, one with clearer values and stronger boundaries than the man who had been twisting himself into knots to please someone who saw him as temporary. As dawn broke, I made a decision. I would not beg someone to love me properly. I would not fight to prove my worth to someone who had already decided I was lacking. Instead, I would reclaim my self-respect and build a life that did not include Amelia. The plan came together with surprising clarity. First, practical independence, then emotional freedom. Over the next week, while maintaining a facade of normalcy with Amelia, I researched apartments in my price range. My lease with Amelia had 8 months remaining, but my friend Taylor practiced law and advised me on how to legally separate my finances and living situation with minimal drama. I documented which furniture and household items I had brought into the relationship, took stock of joint purchases, and secured important documents like my birth certificate and passport that had been stored in our shared filing cabinet. I reached out to friends I had seen less of during my relationship with Amelia, friends she had subtly discouraged me from maintaining close ties with. Their immediate warmth and willingness to help was both heartwarming and another indictment of how isolated I had become. At work, I learned of an opening for a project lead at our Seattle branch, same company but a significant step up in both responsibility and compensation. On a whim, I applied and was granted an interview within days. All this happened while Amelia remained oblivious, our home life continuing in its strained new normal. She seemed to have decided that our confrontation about Jackson was finished business, not worth revisiting. We slept in the same bed, but with a chasm between us. We shared meals, but not conversations. We existed alongside each other like strangers who knew all the wrong, intimate details. Marcus helped me find a 1-bedroom apartment in a renovated building downtown, not as centrally located as the place I shared with Amelia, but with character and potential. I signed the lease on a Tuesday afternoon during my lunch break, feeling equal parts terror and exhilaration as I wrote the check for the security deposit. 2 days later, I received the job offer from Seattle, a 40% increase in salary with relocation assistance. I accepted immediately, negotiating a start date 4 weeks out to give myself time to settle my affairs in our current city. With my housing and employment secured, I turned to the emotional preparations for my exit. I found a therapist who specialized in relationship transitions and booked weekly sessions. I started running again, an activity I had enjoyed before Amelia mentioned she found runners' bodies too lean. I reconnected with my sister through long phone calls where I finally shared the truth about my relationship struggles. The engagement ring, 3-month salary that now represented a bullet dodged rather than a promise of happiness, I sold to a diamond broker. The funds went toward furnishing my new apartment and booking a solo trip to Thailand. I had always wanted to take, but had shelved when Amelia expressed disinterest. I was nearly ready to execute my exit plan when chance handed me the final piece of evidence I needed to silence any lingering doubts. While using our shared tablet to check the weather, a dating app notification appeared on the screen. Curious and suspicious, I opened it to find Amelia's profile, active for the past 4 months according to the timestamp. Her bio described her as selectively looking and mentioned being open to the right connection with the right person. More devastating than the profile itself were the messages. Dozens of conversations with different men, some innocent flirtations, others explicit exchanges, including plans to meet. And most damning of all, a lengthy conversation thread with Jackson that confirmed they had been seeing each other regularly throughout our relationship. Pictures appeared of them together at a cabin getaway during a weekend Amelia had told me she was at a marketing retreat. Messages detailing their plans for the future, including Jackson's comment, "Once you are done with your current situation, we can finally do this right." Her reply, "Soon, I promise. Everything according to plan." I felt strangely calm as I scrolled through irrefutable evidence that I had indeed been nothing more than a convenient placeholder. The hurt was still there but muted now, beneath the certainty that I was making the right choice. My opportunity came the following weekend, when Amelia announced she was going to a girls' trip to wine country with Stephanie and 2 other friends. Based on the messages I had seen, I knew exactly who she would really be with and where they were going: Jackson's family cabin, not Napa Valley. "Have fun," I told her with a genuine smile that she misinterpreted as ignorant trust. "Take lots of pictures." Always she promised, kissing my cheek before wheeling her suitcase out the door. As soon as her car pulled away from the curb, I put my plan into action. Marcus arrived with his pickup truck 20 minutes after Amelia left, followed by 4 other friends ready to help. We worked with military precision, following the inventory list I had prepared. My clothes, books, and personal belongings were packed and loaded first, then my desk gaming system and the few kitchen items that had been mine before cohabitation. I left behind all the furniture we had purchased together, the artwork she had selected, and the expensive kitchenware her parents had gifted us last Christmas. By mid-afternoon, the apartment was half empty, but did not look ransacked. It simply looked like my presence had been surgically removed from the space. I cleaned meticulously as we went, leaving no trace of the transition that had occurred. In the bedroom, I made the bed with fresh sheets, clearing out my nightstand and removing my items from the bathroom. In the kitchen, I left the refrigerator stocked with her favorite foods and wiped down all the counters. Before leaving, I placed my key on the entry table alongside a note that read simply, "Good to know, goodbye." No accusations, no explanations, no drama. Just a calm acknowledgement that I had heard her truth and was acting accordingly. We finished the move by evening, my new apartment, gradually transforming from empty space to home, as my friends helped arrange furniture and unpack essentials. Marcus ordered pizza, and someone brought beer, the impromptu housewarming party, a perfect antidote to what could have been a day of misery. To new beginnings, Taylor toasted, raising her bottle, and to friends who help you see clearly when you are blind, I added feeling genuine gratitude through the lingering pain. Amelia's first text came the next afternoon, approximately when she would have returned from her girls' trip to find the apartment transformed and